Welcome back to Frontier Echoes, where the spirit of the West still rides through stories of courage, love, and unexpected kindness. Tonight's tale will take you down a dusty trail where despair met compassion, and one cowboy's heart built more than just a home, he built hope. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story. Tell us, where are you watching from? Now, let's get started. The sun was setting over the red hills of Willow Ridge when Sarah's wagon finally broke down for good. The wheel had splintered 2 days ago, the horse was weak, and her food was nearly gone. She was a widow now, alone, wandering from town to town in search of a place to start again. Her husband, Tom, had passed the previous winter, leaving her with nothing but his Bible, an old wagon, and memories heavy enough to break her heart. Since then, she'd been sleeping under the stars, trusting the wind and praying the next sunrise would bring mercy. That night, she gathered scraps of wood, lit a small fire, and wrapped herself in a worn blanket. Coyotes howled in the distance, and her hands trembled from the cold. She whispered softly, "Tom, if you're listening. I'm trying." When dawn broke, Sarah rose weakly and stared at the broken wheel. It was cracked beyond repair. She sighed and started walking down the road, her boots kicking up dust. Every rider who passed glanced once, then turned away. Hours later, she collapsed beside the wagon again. Her lips were dry, her spirit fading. She thought she'd never see another kind face. But fate had a way of writing stories the world never expected. A few miles up the ridge, Ethan Cole was returning from his cattle run. He was a self-made man, one of the richest ranchers in the county. Folks called him the Millionaire Cowboy, not for his gold, but for his land, acres that rolled farther than the eye could see. Ethan was known for his stoic nature, polite, but distant. Since his wife's passing years ago, he kept to himself, living with the ghosts of what once was. That morning, as he rode toward home, he noticed smoke curling faintly near the trail. He slowed his horse and saw it, a broken wagon, and beside it, a woman asleep in the dust. Her hair was tangled, her dress torn, and her skin pale as chalk. He stopped, swung down from his saddle, and knelt beside her. "Ma'am? Can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open. For a moment, she looked frightened. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to trespass." Ethan shook his head gently. "You're not trespassing. You're in trouble." He helped her sit up, offering his canteen. She took a shaky sip and coughed. "Thank you, sir. My wagon broke 2 days back. I didn't have anywhere else to go." Ethan studied her quietly. "You alone?" She nodded. "My husband's gone. Been gone near a year now." He tipped his hat respectfully. "I'm sorry to hear that." He looked at the wagon again. One wheel off, the boards cracked, the horse barely standing. "You can't stay out here," he said firmly. "I'll manage," she whispered. "I always do." Ethan smiled faintly. "Not this time, you won't. Come on. My ranch isn't far. You'll rest there tonight." Sarah hesitated. "I don't want to be a burden." "You won't be," he replied. "You'll be a guest." By the time they reached the ranch, dusk had painted the valley gold. The ranch hand stopped and stared as Ethan rode in with a stranger on his horse, something he hadn't done since his wife died. "Fix her some stew," he told his cook. "And draw her a warm bath." That night, Sarah ate by the fire. The smell of bread and coffee filled the room. Ethan sat across the table, quiet, his eyes thoughtful. "You live here alone?" she asked softly. He nodded. "Just me, the men, and the cattle. Been that way a long time. Doesn't it get lonely?" He looked at the flames. "Sometimes. But the land keeps me busy. Gives me something to hold on to." She smiled gently. You sound like my husband. He used to say the same. There was silence between them, the kind that feels more like understanding than distance. The days that followed brought something neither of them expected. Sarah stayed to help with small chores, mending clothes, tending the flowers outside, baking bread. The house, once filled with silence, began to breathe again. Ethan would find her humming in the kitchen, sunlight streaming through the window, and he'd pause, watching quietly. It felt like the ghosts in his home had finally found peace. One afternoon, as a storm rolled in, Sarah stood on the porch, staring at the broken wagon still parked near the barn. The rain began to fall, soft at first, then heavier. Ethan walked up beside her. "You still thinking about leaving?" he asked. "I have nowhere to go," she said softly. "But I don't belong here either." Ethan turned to her. "Belonging isn't about where you came from. It's about who welcomes you." Her eyes glistened. "You're too kind, Mr. Cole." He smiled. "Ethan," he corrected. "Just Ethan." Lightning flashed across the sky. She flinched, and he reached out instinctively, steadying her hand. For a heartbeat, their eyes met. The storm outside roared, but inside, something gentle stirred. Weeks passed, and spring painted the valley green again. Sarah's laughter filled the ranch, and the men began to call her Miss Sarah, like she'd always been part of the family. But Ethan knew she couldn't live forever in borrowed shelter. He began to plan something quietly, something that would change her life for good. One morning, he called his foreman. "Start building down by the creek. Small cabin, 2 rooms, porch facing the sunrise. Make it sturdy." "Who for?" the man asked. Ethan smiled faintly. "For someone who deserves a fresh start." For weeks, the sound of hammers echoed through the valley. Sarah noticed but said nothing. She thought it was another ranch project. Then one evening, Ethan asked her to ride with him. "Got something I'd like to show you." They rode across the fields until they reached a clearing by the creek. There, under the pink sky, stood a brand new cabin, white porch railings, fresh cedar, smoke rising from the chimney. Sarah's eyes widened. "It's beautiful, whose is it?" Ethan dismounted, handed her the reins, and said softly, "Yours." She blinked. "Mine?" He nodded. "Built it for you. Thought you might want a place to call home again." Tears welled in her eyes. "Ethan, I can't accept this." "You can," he said gently. "You earned it, for surviving, for keeping faith when the world gave you none." Sarah took a step forward, running her hand along the porch railing. "No one's ever done something like this for me." He smiled quietly. "Maybe it's time someone did." That night, under 1,000 stars, they sat on the porch of her new home. The crickets sang, the creek whispered, and the fire crackled softly between them. Sarah turned to him. "Why me?" Ethan looked out toward the horizon. "Because once, I lost everything too. And someone helped me when I thought I didn't deserve it. Maybe I'm just passing it on." She reached for his hand. "You didn't just give me a home, Ethan. You gave me back my life." He met her gaze, eyes full of warmth. "And you gave this place a heart again." Months passed, and the seasons turned. Sarah's garden bloomed, children from town visited her porch for stories, and laughter often drifted across the creek. Ethan still rode by every morning, tipping his hat with that quiet smile of his. Sometimes they shared coffee, sometimes silence, both felt just right. The folks in Willow Ridge began to talk, as small towns do. "The millionaire cowboy finally smiled again," they'd say. And the widow he helped, brought the light back. One evening, as the sun melted into gold, Sarah watched Ethan ride away and whispered, "Thank you, Tom, for sending him my way." The wind carried her words across the fields, a prayer, a promise, and a memory of love reborn in kindness. And from that day on, her porch light never went out. Not once. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if this story touched your heart. Tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? And join us again next time, here on Frontier Echoes, where every sunset has a story, and every story finds its way home.